Lexi. Will you please share with us the story behind your experience of creating a mural for little kids and how it connects to your own life?
Yeah. First of all, Maria, what you said was so sweet. I wanted to cry. Thank you so much. You're all just so sweet. This project was so just heartwarming across the board. So I'm just so grateful to be here. Um, yeah, well, first, I just love sharing the story about when I was first exposed to a mural when I was about around the age of these little ones that we were working around. My mom traded services to have a muralist come into our house and make some original paintings all over our walls. And she did that because I was always obsessively painting and she thought it would be enriching for me. It was so impactful that it kind of led me to where I am today. And I'm a full-time artist, a muralist. And it was really, really cool it was such a full circle moment for me to do that in this space. Originally, I saw the call, and a lot of times, public calls, you want to see if it aligns with you. But one thing about a daycare, it's just I love to like get a touch of whimsy into a project, and like that's just the perfect opportunity. So I was really excited. I actually have one of my best friends grew up in Rockland, and her sister is a kindergarten teacher in the area. So when I was making my design, I consulted with her. I was like, what do you think these little kids would really connect with? And I knew I wanted to do some animals, but she actually had recommended kind of the scenery that they might be able to recognize sort of in the area a bit. And also we talked a bit the concept of like what it's communicating a bit. And I really like the idea of like sharing and gathering because it kind of just like models something very nice. And so, yeah, that was kind of the main idea. And then in terms of how I developed it, I wanted to paint it in a way that was sometimes with schools, they like things to be like simplified quite a bit, or daycare or any sort of like children's center. But I remember seeing such like sophisticated painterly work on my walls, like it was like captivating. So I kind of wanted to use, it's almost leaning towards cartoon with the characters, but then I'm bringing in like proper like lighting logic and rendering it so that it feels like a bit more elevated. And that was a lot of my thought around the design. And then in terms of the execution, it was just heavenly. Everyone was so sweet. The kids were like painfully cute. The wonderful Latifa at the front desk, she was so sweet. And her son came in, he was so curious. And kids are just so curious and full of wonder. So it was honestly like one of the most joyful mural experiences I've had. It was just amazing. So yeah. Oh, and Maria is such an angel too, of course. Everyone was just so great. I can't praise you all enough. It was really great.
Um, we we loved having you, and thank you for the details on what went into it. Sounds like you worked for it. It sounds like calling your friend the kindergarten teacher to have her give you an idea of A, what our landscape looks like, and then B, what kids love, and animals and books, and I remember you talking about changing the snacks so they were healthy snacks.
It's
So,
true. I try to be very, very intentional. And, I've been doing murals for all over 16 years now. And you curate towards the audience, and you want to really think it's going to impact the feeling of a space. And you really want to be intentional about what it communicates. So, yeah, I like to really do my research and stuff. Yeah.
it, it definitely showed. Do you have anything else you would like to share? I would like to share that we're lucky to, and we were honored to be able to have you, considering that you paint murals across the world, not just across the area, but Spain, Africa, Albany, a little bit of taste of everything. So we were honored to have your talent as part of the Art in Public Places crew of
Yeah.
artists that we've had for the last 40 years. So we were definitely honored. I am going to check the chat and see if there are any questions. Did anyone put their fingerprints on the painting? You might want to talk about how you treat it.
That would have been such a lovely idea. A lot of times with work that involves children, like when I've worked in schools, I love something where they can take part both with the ideation and with the execution. These were very, very, very little kiddos. So no, unfortunately, their fingerprints aren't, but there's still time if they would like. Maybe along the bottom, there's like that flowery area they could always hop in, but no, but I love that idea. That would be cool. Maybe in the future.
Um, I didn't say, but what are the dimensions and how long did it take?
Hmm. The dimension, I think it was about like, was it, I'd say like approximately like 6 feet wide, 8 feet tall. Does that? Oh, someone said
That's
something about paint in my hands. I'm in the middle of a mural right now, so sorry about that. I tried to be professional up here and I didn't have time to. But yeah, I think about 8 tall, 6 wide approximately. And it took about, was it 4 days of work?
Yeah.
We had kind of limited because we wanted, it's a locked building and I was there during work hours.
I actually think it's bigger. I think it was closer to 8 by 10.
So.
But yes.
Oh, yeah, I think yeah, you're probably right.
I was
I
gonna
can,
say, I apologize. I should know.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. The next question is, what advice would you give to an artist interested in painting murals?
Oh, let's see, is that Lisa? Oh, let's see. Oh, and what are the biggest challenges?
Yeah.
And what's your advice to an artist interested in? So yeah, first with artists interested in painting murals. So actually, right now I'm leading a team on a huge mural I'm doing on an exterior in Albany. And these artists are essentially, I'm kind of guiding them, like they're assisting. I'm almost kind of mentoring them and showing them how to properly prime, execute, and seal so that it stays lasting and reads well from a distance. So one thing I would definitely recommend for artists that would like to paint murals is to shadow under a muralist. A lot of times we, especially on very large scale work, maybe less so the scale of the one we did here, just because it's smaller in comparison. But with a lot of public work, it actually helps people to have extra hands assisting, and that's a really good way to learn. And for me, I started so long ago, so I'm like trying to think of the first ones. But really, what I always recommend is you don't have to wait to be given an opportunity. I'd say if you just want to start scaling up, a wall in your house even to practice, and like the idea of, a lot of us painters, you start like this and like you might even think like something like this is quite big, but practicing on the restraint of, instead of overly rendering because it's smaller. With a mural, you want to think it's the same, but it's quite big. So maybe you level up your paintbrushes. Maybe you think like a little differently. You step way back more. Like the mural I'm on right now, I'm on a giant lift. And a lot of times it's turning the lift away and like actually looking at it. And a lot of times murals, there's a difference with like the perspective. If you're right up here, you might think it all reads right, and then you go back and it doesn't. So just getting all that practice of moving back and thinking of the scale a little differently. But I definitely recommend, if any artists are watching that would like to do murals, finding muralists that you admire. Oftentimes I get like messages and people asking me questions. I don't know about other people. I love that because it's like it's cultivated over time, and the knowledge, and it's really only useful to a very specific, like it's so niche sometimes, So it's really nice to pass it on. I think that's like the artist spirit is to, I had people that shared with me so generously and were willing to share it down. So yeah. And also anyone watching is always welcome to reach out to me. I'm always happy to answer questions.
That's great.
Yeah.
What kind of paint do you use, and how did you seal it? What did you use to seal it with?
So with this one, this was an interior. So with the interior, you can kind of use, if it doesn't get too much light exposure. This one was, it was like these high professional grade golden. I like golden paints a lot, and I also like Holbein. They have a mural paint line, so it's interior latex, and then I seal it. There's a really good sealer, this polyurethane, and it's the interior kind. So then I seal it with that. And then alternatively, if it were an exterior mural, you'd handle it quite differently because there's going to be sun and weather exposure. But for this one, I would say these kind of murals are easy mode because for me, it was actually, I find that dimension, like I call that small, even though it's actually like a lot bigger than me. But an interior where the wall is flat, there wasn't brick, there wasn't anything like that. Um, it was it was a pretty simple process, although I will say I shouldn't forget. I forgot I spent a good amount of time, even with like it had like it had paint on it. It wasn't like a freshly built building. It had a layer of paint, but when I got there, I observed if there were any imperfections, did a little like spackling and sanding. And I always tape around to make sure it's like clean lines around the boundary. And I did prime it. I primed it with I like to sometimes slightly tint my primer so that it has a little bit of a value shift away from white. So it helps me with filling in. Yeah, did that answer that? Sorry, I went on a journey in my trying to remember, but yeah.
That absolutely answered it. Somebody else is asking, what was the largest mural you've ever done?
Oh gosh, I did a huge mural in a dog training facility. There's this very celebrated dog trainer named Tom Davis, and the biggest interior I did was for him, and it was, oh my gosh, it was so big. I can't even, if you look it up, it's called like No Bad Dogs, and it was like, I want to say, it was at maybe like 20 feet high and like 60 feet wide. It was so wide. It was huge. It was like these giant portraits of his dogs and like this more graphic style. And then I did a bunch of logo work. And then the other biggest I'm working on right now, this one that I'm leading the team on, it's like 70 feet wide on the exterior of the parking garage, and it's multiple stories. And yeah, it's quite big. So I like going really big. My dream is to keep going bigger and bigger. Although I do love these ones as well that are small. So.
Do you have a lot of assistants when you do those big ones? Can I ask a question without chatting?
Got it.
Like, do you have a team of people that, I don't know, like
so, yeah, it's a good question because for the first one, the No Bad Dogs one, parts of it were just, if it's huge, even if you think of a painting, think of it way built, like way blown up, there are going to be huge spaces that are like just one single flat color. So when I think back to that one, it was just me rolling with this. And I do multiple coats because I want solid work, so I was very strong by the end of that mural. And what I learned was, I handled every bit of that mural and then now that I have some assistance with something like this, with doing that kind of block and stuff, I think that's pretty wise sometimes to have assistance for that because it's very physical on your body, this kind of work. So this is like one of the first time, not always, I've had people here and there, but in terms of throughout the whole process, like having other hands. I think the assistant stuff, it just depends on the sophistication of the mural, whether or not it would make sense. But for something like that, like large blocking in, assistants really help cut on the time. Yeah.
Cool.
And then for something like the one we did, this was more to me, it was just like more like of a paint. It's just like it's just a scale thing. Like for something like this, for me, it's just so much more streamlined to just
do it yourself.
Yeah.
But you have.
Imagine if you had great big areas of color and it was all blue and it was a gigantic thing, you might have somebody else fill it in.
Well, what's funny? That's what I'm doing right now. So like a giant whale is breaching 2 stories. Yep. And so with these other painters, like I'll go, I'm using like my measuring tools and eye and stuff to like block it in, and then they fill it, and it's amazing for me and my shoulders, and they're learning, and we're all working together, and it's very helpful. So.
Do you ever project images on that you can trace if you've got a design and you project it big and then get the outline?
Yeah, so a projector can be a great tool. My only issue with projectors sometimes in any kind of tech, I think it's good to, like as this tech keeps evolving, like it's good to be able to use it. It can really streamline it, but sometimes you're not able to use it. So I actually lean less on projections and more these days I'll kind of put marks on the building somewhere or using like tape or something. And then I'll, on my iPad, have a transparent picture of my maca, And then I use the markings on the wall to help me see where the lines have to go. That's just one of many. There's a lot of ways to scale up an image, but a projector is a good way to do it. For something like a simple, smaller interior like this, very easy, very good way to do it. Yeah.
But I do have to say you had special paintbrushes. They were extra long.
I highly recommend them. I'm not sponsored by these people, but I love to shout it out. Rosemary & Co. makes an amazing 24-inch handle brush. And especially when you're doing large scale, like, because you can really stand back for your block-ins. I love it. I think they're cool. I like waving them around. So yeah, I love those.
They were fun
I'm
to
glad
see.
you guys got to see that.
Yes, that was very wonderful. I don't think there are any other questions in the chat. Thank you so much, Lexi. And Maria, you guys were wonderful throughout this whole process for, letting us in, the encouragement, the spectacular mural. We are incredibly grateful. And for the final words, I'm going to turn it over to my fearless leader, Dan.
Yeah, that's me. So thanks, Debbie, Maria, and Lexi, and thanks for this beautiful mural that will create special memories for all the children who participate in the programs and events at the Rockland Child Care Center, and be a valuable contribution to the Rockland Art and Public Places collection. As we close, I'm excited to preview a few installations that are in the works. A sculpture by David Boyajian is being crafted right now to be installed later this summer or fall at the academic building at Rockland Community College. We're also developing a project now for the Demarest Kill Park on New Hempstead Road in New City, where a sculpture is being planned to go along the walking trails near the pond. I hear from the committee that the sculptural theme is to represent an animal. It will be very interesting to see what the contributing artists submit. That's coming soon. And this being the 40th anniversary of the AIPP program, a celebration is planned for the afternoon of Sunday, November 8th at the Valley Cottage Library. A brief video overview is being prepared. Selected artists will share their experiences, and an ambitious mural is being created celebrating the 40 years of art installation in the county. That's in November. So, watch for announcements of those Rockland art installations and events. And visit our website at aipprockland.org, and visit us on Instagram at RCAIPP, and go out and explore Rockland County's public art. It is a collection we are very proud of. So thanks for watching.